Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with blog2watch.com. Please subscribe to our videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. This is the Tudor Pelagos, a new dive watch released in 2012 by Tudor. If you're not familiar with Tudor, there's two things you should know right now. One, Tudor is owned by Rolex, meaning that Rolex designs them and makes them. And two, they are not currently sold in the United States. If you're not in the United States and you're watching this video, well then that doesn't matter to you. If you are, then head online, my friends. There's a good chance that Tudor may come to the US in the next couple of years, but that's an entirely different topic. But suffice it to say, it's probably about time. Now, this is a watch I have a lot of feelings about, positive feelings, but it takes some time to explain. Now, let me first explain that when I was at Bezel World 2012, when this watch was released, I didn't feel a lot of emotion towards it. It was like, okay, a brand not available in the US releases a relatively, what I thought was plain looking dive watch. And in a sense, it is. It's a very straightforward, non-flashy dive watch with, good features. There's one interesting, innovative feature. For the most part, it was like, people expect all these wild things from Tudor, and it's like, oh, they released a dive watch. In fact, they released two dive watches the exact same year that both had the same movement. And now that I've had a chance to review the Pelagos, I have a slightly different feeling about it. It's still a dive watch, but that's what I like about it. And what I find interesting is I really feel, and I do discuss this more in the actual written review, that this is like a modern 21st century version of the original Rolex Submariner. Comparing this watch to the Rolex Submariner is a no-brainer because it's the same company that makes them. This watch is obviously less expensive and is a different timepiece. But if you look at the dial, for example, you'll notice that to a large degree, this is a slightly, I guess you could say, rethought and more modern looking version of the Submariner style, or Submariner. You have basically what looks to be, almost filled in or blocky versions of the hands and hour markers. The dial is not as shiny. It's a more matte finish. The bezel, also ceramic, but it's a matte ceramic. The case, rather than being a very high-grade steel, is in titanium. And it's also diver watch. The Submariner is water resistant to 300 meters. This is water resistant to 500 meters. So in a sense, what I'm saying is that Tudor has rethought the original concept, which was the Submariner, and that is in the Pelagos. I wouldn't call them competitors. I would say that they both can exist in your collection easily, and you'll wear them at different times. But that what Tudor's really doing is it's trying to create a new tradition with a watch. It's not trying to look back at an old tradition, even though there are some traditional features on here, but it's trying to create something new and something fresh which it can build on in the future. Whether or not that will be successful, I don't know. But if you're a guy that likes a really well-made tool watch, then this is definitely for you. If you appreciate the showiness, the status symbol of the Submariner, well then the Pelagos just isn't there yet. Okay, let's talk about the watch now that I've given you my little spiel on the culture of timepieces. Now, the Pelagos is 42 millimeters wide, and like I said, it comes in this titanium case and titanium bracelet. There's also a rubber strap, which isn't even optional, it just comes with it. Rubber strap is quite good. I like here the buckle here is the top of the sort of Tudor logo. It has like a shield logo, and that's kind of like the top of it. I thought that was nice. And what I also like about the strap is you'll notice here that when it connects to the case, it connects directly to the end piece there of the bracelet. So it has a seamless connection. There's no gap or anything like that. The bracelet's nice. It's nothing fancy, but it's it's perfectly well made. Like I said, the case is water resistant to 500 meters. It has a helium escape valve. Not that you'll ever use it, but it's there. Rotating diver's bezel, and the bezel has one of the nicest actions I think I've ever had. It's 60 clicks, but it's just so smooth. I don't think you can hear the click there, but it's really nice. It's actually a smoother action than the Submariner, and I believe the Submariner is 120 click bezel, but this one is just a very, very nice action. You can't see it in this video, but the luminant is just fantastic. I mean, obviously Tudor has access to the best parts and the best materials and components in the watch industry. And so the hands, the hour markers, and all the numerals here and markers on the bezel are coated in the blue color Superluminova. It's not only well applied, it's bright, it's even, it lasts for a very long time. I mean, it's lume. It's not going to completely change the watch, but it's very, very attractive. It's done in a really good way. One of the things that sort of I kept coming back to in this watch is that it's not a fancy watch. It's just a very well-designed dive watch with really no flaws and a lot of very meticulous detailing. Let me show you something special here on the bracelet. Now, this is the new feature, really, the new dive watch feature that Tudor has developed. And it's sort of their version of having a diver's extension as well as a micro adjust. So there's no micro adjusts here on the clasp anywhere at all. But you do have the special system here. And here's really how it works. So you see there's these top little 3 indicators. Those are fixed micro adjust positions you can change. And this other side here is actually spring loaded. So if you look here on the bottom, there is actually a spring. So what you do is you can move this little piece across there, and in these 3 positions it's going to be fixed. It's just your standard micro adjust for a slightly more precise fit. And then when you put it to this last position here, you can pull it and it springs back, and that is your diver's extension. So you can use it as a diver's extension, or you can leave it on this position all the time if your wrist expands this much. If you need a larger extension, in addition to the rubber strap, Tudor also supplies a diver's extension rubber strap, which is basically like a extension to the strap, which is like a double strap kind of. It doesn't require really attaching to the watch difficultly. It's just an extra strap, which is good. So again, very much a tool watch in terms of the features, in terms of the design. You can see here that it's all brushed. There's nothing that's mirror polished or anything like that. There's no sporty color accents on the dial. It's just very much a straightforward tool watch without a lot of embellishments. But there's the 3-dimensionality on the dial. Flat sapphire crystal with AR coating on the bottom, I believe, not on the top. Offers a very wide viewing range. Because the crystal is flat, you don't have visual distortion. So when you look at the dial from even extreme angles, legibility is very, very much maintained, which is a positive thing. One of the major difference, other than the designs between Tudor watches and Rolex watches, is that Tudor watches use ETA movements, while Rolex watches use their own in-house made movements. So this watch uses the most popular Swiss movement that are in dive watches, and that is the ETA 2824 automatic. It has the time, it has the date, nothing particularly fancy, but it's just a durable, I guess you could say just workhorse Swiss mechanical watch movement, fine. And it's, I have plenty of dive watches that have that movement, never really had a problem. So again, this is the Tudor Pelagos. It's not currently available in the US, but you can buy it online, or you can travel to a host of other countries to get it. However, it does have a US retail price, which is $4,140. So that's pricey, but not insanely pricey. And I think that it's definitely good for the money. I mean, let's take half the price, about $2,000. You have this whole world of what they call boutique dive watches out there and things like that. And then you get the $4,000 or $5,000 range, you're getting to a lot more high-end divers. And I think this fits. The Submariner, or the Submariner, I don't know why I always say Submariner. I don't know. Maybe there's some comic book character that was called that. Anyways, the Rolex Submariner, the modern version with the date, costs about $8,500, I think $8,550, and without the date, it's about $1,000 less. So the difference between this watch and the Submariner is about $4,000, which is a pretty hefty difference there. It's almost twice as much money for the Rolex. So I think a lot of people will be very much inclined to have this one. It's very well made. I definitely don't have a lot of bad things to say about it. The design, like I said, is something that you have to be a tool watch lover to appreciate. It's not going to be something that someone looks at and be like, hey, is that a Tudor? It's, you know, it's a very sort of straightforward, masculine, modern design. And if you like that, you want it in a very well-made watch from a very respected brand, the Pelagos is probably the watch for you. You can see the full review on the blog to watch. Thanks.